Good morning, children. Sai Ram. I welcome you all to the online class of economics. Children, today I'm again going to continue with the same chapter, that is chapter number 9, and the name of our chapter is Problem of Deficient Demand and Excess Demand. Children, this is the second video of this chapter, and in the previous video, we have already finished up with some of the essential concepts of this chapter. Like we have already learned full employment equilibrium and underemployment equilibrium, thereafter voluntary and involuntary unemployment, full employment and natural unemployment, and problem of deficient demand. So this was the topic we have already learned in the previous video. Now today we are going to learn the problem of excess demand, and finally the measures to control the deficient and excess demand. So let us start with our topic, the problem of excess demand. Now, children, as we are going to move ahead, let us understood first the concept of full employment equilibrium. Children, full employment equilibrium refers to the equilibrium where all the resources in the economy are fully utilized, fully employed, and there is not any capacity of unemployment. Whatever the resources we have already fully utilized, and there is no unused, you can say, resources or unused employment in an economy. So since when equilibrium between AD and AS takes place at full employment of resources, it is called a full employment equilibrium. So full employment equilibrium refers to a situation where AD is equal to where AD means aggregate demand is equal to aggregate supply at full level of employment in an economy. So there are some of the points which we have to be pay attention. The first says that there are no unused resources. Whatever the resources we have, I have already explained you the resources. Children, resources are of four types. We have four FOPs. The first one is land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur. These are the four resources which are very necessary for the production of any goods and services. Now the second is there is no involuntary unemployment to the equilibrium where all the resources in the economy are fully utilized or employed. It means with this point that we do not have any unemployment in our country. So whatever the working capacity we have in our country, all are fully employed and all are fully contributing for the production of various goods and services in an economy. So here it is called as full employment equilibrium. Now children, let us learn the next concept, that is excess demand. Now excess demand refers to a situation where aggregate demand, in short AD, is more than aggregate supply, AS, corresponding to full employment level of output in an economy, and it gives rise to the inflationary gap. So excess demand refers to the situation where aggregate demand is more than aggregate supply corresponding to full level of employment in an economy. It means that, let's say, as you all know, aggregate demand and aggregate supply is in planned demand and supply. So in this, we are obviously planned that that much demand is going to be arisen in the next coming time or in the next accounting year. So once the aggregate demand is being planned, now the suppliers, the firms or the producers are willing to produce up to that units of commodity in an economy, because if there is a demand, there is a supply, and whatever we are planning for a demand, we have to be supply with the same amount. We are planning to be supplied into the market with the same level of quantity, with the same amount of quantity. Now since, if suppose we have already planned that in this coming next year, in the next financial year, there will be approximately 10,000 crores of demand, which is going to be happen in the next which is going to be arisen in the next financial year. Now as such, we have got a target of producing 10 crores of 10,000 of crores of various goods and services, the producers are obviously inclined to produce at most approximately 10,000 crores of goods and services. Now, since uh, if the demand arises from more than 10,000 to 12,000, I mean, we have planned that in the next financial year the aggregate demand should be only 10,000 crores, but it now actually it is up 12,000 crores of rupees. It means here 2,000 crores of demand is it excess demand, which is known as an excess demand, and it gives a rise to the inflationary gap. As such, children, I have explained you that we have already working at full employment equilibrium. I mean, whatever the resources we have, like land, labor, capital, entrepreneur, we are using fully for the production of various goods and services, and it is the maximum capacity that we are going to produce, let's say, that much amount of goods and services in an economy. Now here with this example, what we feel is that what we accept that in an economy there could be of 10,000 crores of demand which is going to be happen in the next financial year, but demand depends but the demand does not relates with the supply, relates with the firm or the producers. It relates with the consumer or with the customer. If the customers are demanding more than what we expect, then this excess demand will be converted into, and then this unfulfilled demand will be converted into an excess demand, and it definitely gives a rise to an inflationary gap. Now, what is an inflationary gap? Children, it is a gap by which actual aggregate demand exceeds with the aggregate demand. I mean, the actually aggregate demand exceeds with the planned aggregate demand. Now, children, let us move further. Now, just see the diagram here. What we are going to explain here: the income, the GDP, as well as the income GDP, we are going to be plotted on the x-axis, whereas aggregate demand, which is the sum total of consumption plus investment, we are showing on the y-axis. Now this y curve, the aggregate supply curve starts from the origin, makes a 45-degree of line. It moves upward, which is known as aggregate supply, and it is also representing with y. Now here aggregate demand, uh, this one ADF is the demand at full level of employment in an economy. I mean, whatever the employment we have, I mean, it is a demand. We have planned it that it should be up to ADF. Now actually what happens is the aggregate demand is risen from ADP. ADP means it is an excess demand, and we have a gap of E and F in which we are representing an excess demand. Children, just understood the aggregate supply, as I just said, is moving upward. Now the first aggregate, which is aggregate demand, which is an initial aggregate demand at full employment, AD, is going from left to right on an upward direction, which is being shown here in the slide by the blue color. And the new aggregate demand, which is an actual aggregate demand, is representing with ADP, which is the planned aggregate demand. So here both this AD curves intersecting the supply, I mean the aggregate supply curve at 2 points. At initial aggregate demand, it is intersecting at F point, whereas on new aggregate demand curve, it is intersecting at E point. So in between of this area from E to F, there is a gap which is known as an excess demand, which is just because of an excess demand, and it definitely gives rise to the inflationary gap. So now, what is an inflationary gap? Inflationary gap is measured in terms of excess demand. We can say that inflationary gap is equal to excess demand, and inflationary gap is measured as the difference between the planned aggregate demand, which is beyond the full employment level, and AD that corresponding to full employment. this is a diagram of aggregate demand. Now, children, let us learn the causes behind of excess demand. Now, causes of excess demand are almost opposite to those of excess, the deficient demand, and we have two principal causes of excess demand in two sectors closed economy. There are only two conditions by which the excess demand can be achieved, or can be you can say occurred. The first is when there is an increase in the private consumption expenditure. I mean, if the peoples are inclined, or if they are obviously owing to spend more of their income and less to supply, it means there is an increase in the private consumption expenditure, which may occur owing to increase in propensity to consume or whether decrease in propensity to save. So, children, in countries like India, propensity to consume has tended to rise owing to a high degree of demonstrations effect, and this poor try to spend more to live like the rich. I mean, this is the first cause of excess demand. The second is if there is an increase in investment expenditure. If children, if the business expectations is owing to blush, or the business is trying to bear more the profits, then it definitely make an investment, and just because of making an investment there is an excess demand, which again a causes of an excess demand. So increase in investment expenditure, which may occur owing to bullish business expectations, and business expectations where the producers expect high returns from the investment. So in basically the two sectors economy with the government, the the following additional causes are for an excess demand. The first is increase in government expenditure. If the government is deciding to spend more, then there is an increase in excess demand. I mean, I have already explained you that the government is the first and the biggest consumers in an economy. Whatever the government decides to consume or to make expenditure on various goods and services, and on behalf of this there is an excess demand. And if the government decided that they cannot demand, or they cannot make any development or any infrastructural growth of a country, then in this condition also there is a deficient demand, because the government is not making a further expenditure and is going to stop his expenditure for some time. So this is the first cause of excess demand. Now second is excess in export. Excess in export owing to low domestic prices in relation to an international prices, and decrease in imports owing to high international prices compared with the domestic prices, and a cut in tax rates leaving high disposable income with the people. So, children, the first, as I just said, is increase in government expenditure. If the government decided to make an expenditure on various infrastructural growth and development of a country, then definitely there is an increase in demand, because the government is demanding bulk of various goods and services as compared with an individual person. Now, second is increase in export owing to low domestic prices. There is obviously a demand, the excess demand. If suppose the demand is even less in a domestic level, and it should be high in the foreign countries. That is why there is an increase in export owing to the low domestic prices. Next is decrease in import. Decrease in import owing to high international prices compared with the domestic prices. I mean, if we are obviously buying various goods and services from the foreign countries, and if the prices or if the purchasing cost from buying from the foreign countries becomes more, then definitely consumer can buy or can avail the domestic produced goods more as compared with the international goods. That is why there is a ex, decrease in import. And at last, next is a cut in the tax rates. If the rate of the tax is less, then the cost of purchasing the commodity will be less, and in that conditions, the cost for the customer or the consumer is again less. And in this condition, if the prices of the commodity decreases, then the customer definitely consume many goods and services, and in this way it can be again a cause of excess demand. Now, children, let us learn the consequences of excess demand. I mean, the three critical situations of excess demand. Now, the first one is excess demand and wage price spiral. So, children, the excess demand leads to a wage price spiral in an economy. It is a situation when wages catches prices and catches wages. Accordingly, in an economy, maybe they're driven to a situation of higher inflation. This is how the price spiral operates. Owing to the excess demand, there is a pressure of demand on the existing resources, and consequently, cost of production tends to rise. And if there is a rise in wages, it leads to a rise in the general price level. Here, children, it is explaining here that if there is an excess demand, then the wage price spiral can also be increased in an economy. Suppose if the demand of various goods and services going to be increases day by day, then the producers are obviously inclined to produce more units of a commodity in a day. And in this way, the workers, or he need various workers or employees to work, so that his production in an economy increases. And if the production, if the producers wants to increase the production, then definitely they have to hire many employees or many workers, and they have to pay the wages also and for their work. Now, whatever the wages they are paying, they are obviously demanding high because of there is an excess demand. And if the producers are paying high wages, then definitely they can charge more, and in this way the prices of the commodity definitely increases. So if there is a rise in the price, it leads to a rise in cost of living, and if there is a rise in the cost of living, then it definitely leads to a rise in the wage again. So so that is why I'm saying that the wages catches prices and the prices catches wages. So this spiral turns into higher inflation, and it becomes a serious threat to the economic stability. Next is loss of profit. Loss of profit, like likewise as deficient demand, excess demand also cause loss of profit, and the profit is lost because owing to the lack of excess capacity, the producers are not able to rise their supplies. And in other words, we can say that there is a loss in the profit owing to unfulfilled demand in an economy. So, children, an excess demand is not a virtuous, but it vicious. It generates an inflationary spiral in an economy. And devoid of any rise in GDP, the excess aggregate demand generates pressures on goods on the existing resources, and accordingly, cost of production, which is particularly to the wage rate, rises. And if there is a rise in the cost, it leads to rise in the prices, and the economy is caught in the wage spiral in the wage price spiral, as it is a challenge to stability of an economy. Is So this is again three critical situations of the consequences of excess demand. Now next is children static GDP. So even when the level of aggregate demand is higher than the aggregate supplied full employment level of an economy, the level of GDP does not rise. It means it remains static. Children, as you all know, we have already working at full employment equilibrium level of an economy, whereas whatever the resources we have are fully utilized and none of a single capacity is left unemployed. So it means this is the maximum capacity we could be used to produce various goods and services. And if again there is a high demand or if there is an excess demand in an economy, then it is a situation where the higher demand falls to generate higher GDP in the economy. I mean, we are not going to increase the further employment opportunities because we are already working on full employment equilibrium. So, in this condition, children, it remains static GDP because we are not going to produce more from our capacity and we are not in intention to produce less what we have already produced. So it means that the GDP will remain in static conditions, and this is because the resources are already fully employed and there is no excess capacity left in an economy. So this is again a situation of the consequences of an excess demand. So children, so far we have studied first the definition of full employment equilibrium, thereafter the definition of excess demand, the the causes or the reasons behind the excess demand. Thereafter we have learned the the critical situations in an economy. The first one is wage price spiral, the second is static GDP, and the third one is a loss of profit. So children, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching and have a nice day. And in the next video we are going to learn the measures adopted to control the excess and the deficient demand in an economy. Children, the next video is again very important because in that video we are going to learn how the government is using the fiscal policies or the monetary policies to control the excess or deficient money supply or in excess and deficient demand in an economy. So children, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching, and Sai Ram.